After almost half of a decade of hearing any sort of news pertaining to Marvel's Wolverine, we finally get some new footage, some new gameplay in fact, or even just a trailer in general for Marvel's Wolverine at the PlayStation State of Play, and I gotta say, it did not disappoint. Considering the fact that many gamers were very skeptical about the state that this game was in, whether this game was going to even release or not, because a couple of years ago, Insomniac Games had that devastating leak that actually revealed a lot of assets for this game, a lot of gameplay footage, or at least beta footage for the game, and even story details. And many were curious if this game was just going to be downright canceled and they were just going to move on to, let's say, Spider-Man 3, or maybe another Marvel game that Insomniac was attached to make. And based on what we've seen, it looks like Insomniac Games stuck to their guns and continued on with Marvel's Wolverine. And based on what we've seen here with this trailer, this game looks spectacular. I actually can't wait to try out this game next fall when it releases. And we're going to actually go over those details here in this video. I'm going to go over my thoughts with what I liked about this trailer, maybe with what I'm skeptical about, because I don't really have much bad things to say for this trailer itself. My overall gripes is going to be mainly external factors, which I'll definitely detail later in this video. But before I get into all that fun stuff, I want you guys to go ahead, do your due diligence, and like and subscribe to the channel, because you are not going to miss out on this certified banger content. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, before I actually talk about what I liked with this gameplay trailer, or just the trailer itself, I want to actually preface this video with my initial thoughts about the PlayStation State of Play, because boy oh boy were the games that were shown before that the big reveal, that being Marvel's Wolverine. A lot of the games that were shown were just complete ass. I did not give a single fuck about majority of the games that were shown. It was a complete bore fest. I'm so sick of these like anime-based games, like these Japanese games, a lot of medieval type of games, or anything like that looks kind of like Dark Souls. I'm over that shit. That to me is what held this whole State of Play back, was just the lackluster gameplay showcases. The only one that I was kind of interested in was the Halloween gameplay footage that they showed. They only showed like a minute of that, and it just looks like a copycat of Friday the 13th game. Like, just not a whole lot to talk about right there. I mean, it looks fun, but at the same time, it just looks like a typical copycat horror. A bad guy chases you, you have to, use your wits and try to survive and get past this supernatural killer. It's already been done before. I don't know how this Halloween game is really going to do anything different compared to like Friday the 13th and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that came out a couple years ago or so. The point that I'm trying to highlight here is the fact that Marvel's Wolverine really carried this PlayStation showcase, because every game that was shown prior to this massive reveal was just complete lackluster garbage. PlayStation, for the love of God, do better with your showcases, with your state of plays. Stop pumping out these bore fest, these just extensive indie games, Japanese-based games, fucking medieval type games. I'm sick of that shit. Show interesting games, or just don't show anything at all, okay? And some of you that are listening to this or watching this video, some of you might disagree with me on some of the games that were shown, or my overall thoughts that the whole showcase itself was just a complete bore fest. Maybe some of you liked some of those games that were shown off. More power to you, but in my honest opinion, that shit sucked ass. And long story short, Marvel's Wolverine saved this entire State of Play. That's all that really needs to be said. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get into my overall thoughts with Marvel's Wolverine reveal trailer. The one thing you came here for. Now, with the overall presentation for this game, I can't really complain in terms of that, because it looks great visually. From what we've seen with some of the little gameplay segments, or mainly the lack thereof, because they didn't really show a whole lot of gameplay. It was just kind of sprinkled in between cutscenes or just mainly cinematics with the game itself. It looks very gruesome. I like the overall energy that I'm seeing within these sort of shots, where like Wolverine's clawing out somebody's fucking face or tearing them apart. I think Insomniac has nailed that aspect down, and honestly, how could they not nail that down? They literally have the blueprint, that being X-Men Origins Wolverine game, or the tie-in game. That game got so many things right. It was very fun back in the day. I actually played that game on the PS2. I never played the PS3 or Xbox 360 version of that game. But when you play either one of those versions, both those games actually kind of get the whole, or not even just kind of, they do get the whole Wolverine aspect down, like feeling that visceral rage of attacking your enemies and just mainly clawing your way through enemy types. And like there were many different enemy types within the X-Men Origins game, and for some of them you couldn't just like smash a button just to get through them. Like you actually had to think through some of the enemy types. Like there were some more advanced types where you had to counter them, and they would sometimes counter your attacks. And I feel like we're going to get something like that within this new game from Insomniac. I think they're going to, implement different enemy types, especially with the Reavers, that they're one of the main villains in this game, or the main enemy types that we're going to be facing throughout this game. And I'm sure many other different types of enemies. But when you see something like Wolverine clawing his way through these enemies, you definitely see a lot of resemblance from that X-Men Origins game with this game, and especially like the takedowns or like the special takedowns where you see Wolverine in this trailer like stick his claws through a guy's face or like through the neck and like up through his skull. And it's also very reminiscent from the movie Logan, where he does the same exact thing. I think Insomniac has really nailed this down, and I hope to see more of this come springtime, because they did announce that they're going to show more for this game in the spring of 2026. But that's something I really hope they nail altogether. And it looks, by the presentation itself, or with some little gameplay segments sprinkled in through this trailer, I think they're going to nail it down completely. And I really hope they don't disappoint. I don't think they will, but it looks like they've taken a lot of great inspiration from X-Men Origins, Wolverine tie-in game, and even X-Men 2, Wolverine's Revenge, that game back in the day. I think they've definitely taken inspiration from that game, where you just like, again, with like the enemy types, you have to like approach some enemy types very differently than just like your casual enemy type, or just like the one at default that you face probably at the beginning of the game. But yeah, with the little gameplay segments that they've shown, I think this looks very satisfying. I can't wait to see what the final product is going to end up being like. But to kind of move on from the gameplay segments within this trailer, I want to move on to some things I'm really looking forward to, and that is the many X-Men characters that are going to be featured in this game. We know that there were some X-Men members that weren't featured in this trailer, but with the many that were featured, like, for example, Omega Red, his character design is really awesome. I think they completely nailed down his character design here. He looks badass. He looks menacing. He looks like he came out of a comic book. That's how great this visual representation is of Omega Red. And I'm sure he's going to be badass in the game itself, or the final game. But based on what we've seen, I think Insomniac, I know they've done their own little touch on this character, or just like his overall appearance. But at the same time, he looks very comic accurate. He's got that bulky look to him. He's got that menacing look. And he looks like a formidable foe to Wolverine. Now, another character that was featured in this trailer was Candace Owens. Oh shit, never mind, it's Mystique. But all jokes aside, we don't know if she's going to be a villain or an anti-hero in this game, but based on what we've seen, she's going to have some kind of role in the game. I'm curious if she's going to have some little gameplay segments in the Wolverine game, like maybe we'll get to play as her through some missions, or like little mini missions. It's similar to like the MJ missions in Spider-Man 2018 and 2023, or Spider-Man 2, but hopefully better than the MJ missions, because fuck the MJ missions. But no, in all seriousness, I'm curious if we're going to get to play as Mystique, or maybe some other characters, based on what we've seen with Insomniac Games, or like the Marvel games, because not only do you have the main hero, but you'll have some little segments within like the Spider-Man games where you get to play as Miles Morales, or MJ, or even Venom, like in Spider-Man 2. And there is actually one I know of with this game, based on some leaks, and we're going to get into that towards the ending of this video, but let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. But to get back to the point of Mystique being in the game, I know she's been kind of a point of conversation with this trailer, or at least her overall appearance, while some are critiquing that she looks a little too manly for their taste. Some are even coining the term Mansteak. But here's what I have to say on this, and maybe this is a hot take, but I actually don't necessarily think Mystique looks ugly per this character design. I actually think she just looks like a 45-year-old single mom that just gives you that sort of eye contact, or that sort of facial look where she's like, I want you to be the dad who stepped up. Nah, I'm just kidding. But some people are only pointing out this sort of character design, or something that it resembles from another character design from another game. And that's a game like Concord, because apparently the person that worked on the character model for Mystique in this game worked on the game Concord. And we all know what happened to that game, that piece of shit game, and just the overall ugly artwork with that game. And it's also led to this rabbit hole discussion of a particular organization, or not necessarily organization, but a consulting firm known as Sweet Baby Inc., That's a name I haven't heard in a while. I was hoping I'd never hear that god-awful name again, but here we are in the Big 25 mentioning Sweet Baby Inc. Now, with Sweet Baby Inc., they're the reason for a lot of the woke shit in games you see. They're the ones who give their little consultations on how characters should be presented, how they should act, or like basically offering political correctness in gaming. You know, bullshit we don't need in games ever. And the only reason many are bringing up Sweet Baby Inc. is because they were the consultation firm on a previous Insomniac game, that being Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and many other games that they've, consulted on and all that bullshit. And many recognize their influence on a game like Marvel's Spider-Man 2. We all saw the woke shit. I know, I don't even like bringing up woke shit. It's annoying at this point, but a lot of it, the times it has to be said because you want to bring awareness to this shit and you want to pretty much alert customers that are going to buy this game or potentially that are interested in games like Wolverine. You want to let them know that there's going to be this type of influence with the game, and hopefully that we can eradicate that influence by the time of the game's release. And there are some rumors out there that they did drop Sweet Baby Inc. as a consultation firm, or they dropped their services altogether. I'm really hoping that's true because I don't want this game to be bad. I don't want their influence on this game because, fuck them and fuck their influence on Spider-Man 2. That game was mid as fuck. I mean, the game itself was okay, or like the gameplay, but the story, you could definitely see their influence and the type of bullshit they brought to that game. It was just abysmal. And also, now it wasn't even just Sweet Baby Inc., but Brian Intahar's bullshit influence of including the MJ side missions and the other woke side missions in the game. I know many of y'all remember that and how mid that shit was, or even just downright awful. But not to get too lost in the sauce with the whole Sweet Baby Inc. talking point. The only reason that's being brought up is, again, the character design with Mystique and the many critics of this overall design saying she's not really sexy enough because, she actually has a very sexy appearance in the comics and even some film adaptations. So it begs the question whether Insomniac Games or the developers for this Wolverine game will take the feedback into consideration and maybe update her design or make her a little bit more sexy, or to make it more akin to the comics and previous film adaptations that have perceived her that way. It'll be interesting to see how things play out going forward in the future. And like I said before, I don't wish for this game to be bad. I want it to be the best it can possibly be because I really want to play a Wolverine game. I haven't played one in years, especially the one back in the PS2 era or even the PS3, Xbox 360 era. I want this game to be great. I want the story to be great. I don't want it to be mid as fuck like Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And I understand this is a different developer team at Insomniac Games, because I know you have the team that did the Spider-Man games, and then you had the team that did the Miles Morales game. And I think the team that did the Miles Morales game is the one working on this game, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a different developing team, and based on that developer vid they did after showing the trailer off at the State of Play, these guys seem very passionate about the game. They seem like they really care about the character of Wolverine and just emulating that overall brutality you see not only in the comics but also in the movies and previous gaming iterations of Wolverine. And something else I forgot to mention earlier, because I was kind of getting lost in the sauce with the overall talking point about Mystique and the controversy around her, there was actually some other characters, or actually other characters that were hinted at throughout the trailer, and that one was Bolivar Trask, the guy known for developing the Sentinel program in the comics. Basically, the Sentinel program was a program designed to have these robots eradicate mutants, basically cleanse the earth of mutants altogether. It's a pretty big thing in the X-Men comics and even Wolverine comics. And I actually do remember the Sentinels being in X-Men Origins Wolverine game, or the tie-in game. You remember that big boss fight, and especially the hint at the very end that they were going to, have a sequel to X-Men Origins Wolverine, the tie-in game, but nothing ever came of that. But you see all those Sentinels, like, just basically eradicating the mutant population and just basically destroying the Earth itself. It was like that post-apocalyptic era of X-Men. And we see with this newest trailer for Wolverine that the Sentinels are going to play a part in the game, or at least a Sentinel is going to play a part in the game, and Trask Industries is going to play a part in the game's story. But and by the way, this is not Galactus like this fucktard thinks it is. Because, we got to gatekeep the fandom from people like this who mistakenly think that the Sentinels are Galactus, or a Sentinel is Galactus. It just kind of goes to show you how far we've fallen in humanity. But all jokes aside, yes, the Sentinels are going to play a part in the game, and I'm sure there's going to be other evil forces in the Wolverine game that are going to play a part, like these little ninjas we see in the gameplay trailer. I'm sure there might be some ties to the Silver Samurai, because we know that Logan is going to be traveling to Tokyo, Japan in this game. That's one of the locations you can travel to in the game, or you're going to be in the game. And there's other X-Men characters that I know of based on some of the leaks we've seen within the past 2 years, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But based on this trailer, that was pretty much all I gathered from in terms of like X-Men appearances or X-Men characters that have been hinted at to appear in this game. And I think it's just going to be very interesting to see who all is going to be in the final product once this game releases. But yeah, that's going to conclude my overall thoughts on the trailer. Not much to complain about. I really don't have anything to complain about. I think it was a very well-made presentation. It looks visually beautiful. The gameplay looks fun based on some little gameplay segments we've seen. And I do like the actor that they've chosen for Wolverine, that being Liam McIntyre. And I know he's been in shows like Spartacus and even The Flash. I remember this guy's Weather Wizard back in the day when The Flash premiered in like 2014. And this actor is also an Aussie, just like Hugh Jackman. So it's very interesting to have two actors that have played Wolverine, one in the movies and one in the video games, that are both Australian. But yeah, really don't have anything but nice things to say about the presentation alone. So now it's time to get into my closing thoughts, or some things that I might have some concerns with in terms of the final game itself. And we're going to get into that right now. Now, I want to preface with this section of the video that this is going to contain some spoilers for the final game, or maybe some spoilers for the final game, because I don't know if some things have changed ever since the leaks occurred back in 2023. So at this point in the video, if you don't want to hear any spoilers for this game or potential spoilers for the game itself, just go ahead and click off, or just maybe click towards the ending of the video. I should include a timestamp here. If I don't, just kind of click towards like the last 2 minutes of the video. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and get into some of the spoiler aspects with the Wolverine game. And the first aspect I'm going to mention is a playable character that I kind of hinted at earlier that's going to be featured in the game is Jean Grey. And something to keep in mind about the leaks I'm going to be discussing here. For starters, I'm not going to show any gameplay footage or leaked gameplay footage that occurred within the past 2 years, because I don't want my channel to get copyrighted. And I also want to keep the video up, so I don't want to risk getting this video taken down altogether. So what I'm going to be describing to you is gameplay footage that I saw within the past 2 years. And some of this footage contained Jean Grey and her overall moveset or her play style. And of course, she's going to have a pretty significant amount of game time or screen time with this game, based on what I've seen with the leaks. Now, this overall could change when the final product releases, but based on what I saw, I'm afraid that they're going to pull the same tactic or the same mistake that they made in Spider-Man 2, where you had too many of these MJ missions all together, and she was like the star of these like little gameplay segments, and she was overpowered as fuck. She felt more powerful than the two main heroes, that being Spider-Man and Miles Morales. And a lot of people saw that and thought that was completely fucked up, and it took them out of the game completely. And to even add insult to injury, apparently they cut out a lot of Venom segments for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and even, cut out lines from Tony Todd himself, the late Tony Todd. And I just thought that was extremely unfortunate and just completely unnecessary to cut out like the content that the fans wanted to play through. And that's not to say that nobody would want to play as Jean Grey, because Jean Grey is a very popular X-Men and she's a very cool character. But I think many fans were skeptical of the fact that not only was she going to be playable, but were they going to do like the whole girl boss shit like they did with Spider-Man 2 and just have her be more powerful than the main character you play as in the game? Like, is she going to take away the star power of Wolverine? Is she just going to girl boss her way through certain segments? And that's what many others, including myself, are worried about with this game. Is, are we going to get a lot of girl boss bullshit? Are we going to have that Sweet Baby Ink influence when we play these characters in the game? Because we know that Jean Grey is going to be playable in the game, assuming that nothing changes by the time this game releases. But I'm also curious as to who else is going to be playable that we didn't see in the leaks. Like I mentioned earlier, will Mystique be playable? Will there be another X-Men character that's going to be playable? Like, for example, Cyclops or whoever? Probably not, but because I feel like they'll kind of keep it to a minimum with playable characters, because you definitely want to have a majority of the play time with Wolverine. But you never know with these modern day developers and their overall thinking process, or their process with their thinking. And especially considering that a lot of developers nowadays, and I hate to say it like this, but a lot of modern day game developers really hate their fans, and they honestly just hate themselves. But that's not every game developer out there. I know there's passionate developers out there, people that work hard on these games. And I'm really hoping that nothing like that plagues this game, like people who hate their audience. I hope this doesn't plague the Wolverine game. And I hope that the Jean Grey missions, assuming that it's going to be in the final release, doesn't plague the game, or just the overall tone that the game is trying to set, or just the overall feel. And speaking of feel, there was also something I saw with the leaked gameplay footage, and that was a certain gameplay aspect where you have like med kits and smoke bombs for Wolverine. And it's like, okay, are we playing Fortnite here? Why does Wolverine have a med kit of all things? Like the smoke bombs, I guess you could kind of justify because he's fighting ninjas, and he's, Wolverine has fought with ninjas before in the comics. So that's not like too out of the question or like completely out of character. But at the same time, we have the blueprint, that being X-Men Origins Wolverine, that game. Because with that game, like, he was just powerful as is. Like, you felt the power at the very beginning playing the Wolverine game. And there were really cool segments where you could use the environment to your advantage. Like, he would, like, claw, like, let's say, for example, a chair. Like, he'd throw chairs at enemy types or barrels. And, like, he was able to impale enemies through, like, trees or spiky things. And hopefully, I think they're going to do that with this game. And we kind of see that throughout the trailer, like kind of hinted at the state of play trailer. But I'm hoping with this like med kit shit, I hope they take that out completely, because Wolverine has a healing factor. Why the fuck does he need a med kit of all things? So that was a little worrisome when I saw that in the leaked footage. But something else I saw was like his overall gameplay style. It felt like a copycat of like the Spider-Man Predator type missions where you're having to like use stealth to your advantage and like take enemies one by one. It felt like kind of almost like a copycat of that. And that was something I was really worried about. But I think the developers have some time to basically hone in on that and like kind of add their own style to Wolverine Predator type missions where he's taking out enemies in a very stealthy way. And I hope they make him really feel like Wolverine when he's doing that. And I'm sure they will, because like I said, like this is leaked gameplay. It's not representative of the final product. I understand that. I'm not a complete dumbass, but I'm really hoping that it just doesn't feel like a copycat of the previous Spider-Man games with those stealthy missions. But despite all that, I don't really think I should harp on that too much, because like I said, was unfinished footage. It's not representative of the final product, and I'm sure they'll nail it. I'm sure it'll be satisfying, not only just like fighting enemies like on a ground level or just like taking enemies out one by one, but also doing those like Predator type missions. I'm sure it'll be fun. And his movement based on the pre-alpha footage, he moves like how Wolverine would move if he was trying to take out enemies in a very stealthy manner. So not too much to comment on in terms of the gameplay itself. I'm sure the gameplay will be fine-tuned by the time this game releases, and based on the trailer footage, it looks like they've really upped their game from the leaked footage I saw. Like it looks more fine-tuned. It looks very stylized, which is something I was really hoping for. And I hope it feels very akin to X-Men Origins Wolverine game. I think may emulate that energy. Maybe not down to the same type of energy, but maybe similar at best. But to kind of conclude my overall thoughts on the leaked gameplay footage, or maybe some leaked aspects with the Wolverine game, I do know that Sabretooth is going to be in the game, and I think he's going to be at the beginning of the Wolverine game, where it showcases a flashback to when Logan partakes in the Weapon X program, and it's also going to show how he escapes from that, and I think it's going to show Sabretooth chasing after him or encountering him as like a tutorial type of mission, or like a tutorial boss fight. And from what I saw, I got a lot of God of War vibes, or like God of War 2018 and 2022 vibes from the boss fight alone. And that's not inherently a bad thing, because even the Origins Wolverine game back in the day, it took a lot of inspiration from the original God of War games. So I don't really have an issue with this Wolverine game taking some inspiration from God of War 2018. So honestly, that's not really a complaint I have. It's just an observation I simply made, and I'm sure by the time we get to play the final product, it's going to look great. It's going to be fun. And it'll probably be, it'll kind of, like I said, it'll be like a tutorial mission to kind of give you a feel for how the boss fights are going to go. Similar to how they kind of got you in the feel for how boss fights or enemy types were going to go in Spider-Man 2018 or Marvel Spider-Man 2018. Because they did the same thing with Kingpin at the beginning of that game. And I'm sure it'll be no different here when you go against Sabretooth. But yeah, that's going to pretty much conclude my overall thoughts on the leaked footage I saw within the past 2 years Not too much to talk about, and there's also some things I'm probably forgetting, but it's probably not worth talking about. Those were the main things that I mentioned in this video that really stood out to me, were some characters that weren't shown in the trailer, and a certain character that's going to be playable in the game, assuming nothing changes by then, based on the leaked footage up to the final release for this game. But yeah, that's going to do it for the spoilerific section of the video. But I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video here. I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the Wolverine trailer? Are you liking what you're seeing? Do you think the gameplay will be satisfying or just as satisfying as previous Wolverine games? And do you think the story for this game is going to be good? Do you think it'll be on par with, like, let's say Spider-Man 2018 and not some woke fest, garbage fest that was Marvel's Spider-Man 2? I really don't want a repeat of that, and I don't think anybody else wants a repeat of that. But with all that being said, I want to hear from you guys, and if you liked what you saw in this video, go ahead, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button, because you are not going to want to miss out on this certified banger content. But yeah, folks, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.